on this one, man. But guys, man, y'all hit that like button. I'm gonna say that one more time, man. Y'all hit that like button. Now, faith without works is dead, man. Let's get into it. You can have a lot of faith in the God that's within you. But if you don't put in no works, like I said, man, in order for you to get what you want, you must match the energy of what you want. That's just how it is. And a lot of people, they want so much, but they're not putting in enough work, or they're not doing everything that come with their purpose to reap the fruits of their labor. You know what I'm saying? Because like the church is not gonna really teach you this. It's gonna teach you like what people in the church, a lot of the pastors teach. They teach like if you give your tithes, then God gonna bless you like beyond measure. Than what you can imagine. And that's not true. When you pay your tithes to a church, God is going to bless you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, He's gonna bless you, but He's going to supply your needs. Meaning He gonna give you exactly what you need to get, just to survive, right? But when it come down to your wants, if you want to actually live, when it come down to your wants, you have to go put in that work yourself. That's the thing. There's so many people, they get the Bible, like they get a lot of stuff mixed up in the Bible. Like when it comes down to tithing and all that type of stuff. Yeah, when you tithe, God is going to supply your needs. But when it come down to your wants, your desires, you got to go put in a lot of work. You can't be playing. Like in a lot of chosen ones, they might have got that confused when it come down to paying tithes. Now I'm not telling people don't pay no tithes and nothing like that, right? And I'm not telling people that because some people they don't go to church. So I'm not saying that if you don't pay tithes, you're not gonna be blessed, because that's not true either. So you guys gotta understand, man, faith without works is most definitely is dead. If you're not gonna really prosper like how you want to prosper until you put in enough work, excuse me, and you gotta put in a lot of work. And let's be real though. Like, let's say if you're making low pay, right? You're making really low pay. You're not gonna be able to get the lifestyle that you actually want if you want to be a millionaire. And you making only $13,000 a year, or you making only $20,000 a year, and you're gonna be a millionaire like that. No, you're not. Most likely you're not gonna be a millionaire like that unless you invest into yourself. Now, if you invest into yourself and you invest into something that can make a lot of money, now, yeah, that can possibly happen. But chosen ones, you gotta be out here putting in the work for the kingdom. You can't be playing no games. It's a lot of people that say that they chosen and they all this type of stuff, but they really not. Excuse me, guys. They're slowful. When it come down to work ethic, they don't really have it in them. Like the chosen ones have. Chosen ones, we work like we thinking that we never doing enough. That's how our chosen ones work. Even though we doing enough, we think that we're not doing enough. That's how chosen ones work. We put in a lot of work. We don't play no games because we know for a fact that faith without works is dead. And a lot of people they don't really live by that. Like I said, it's a lot of men that go to church, man. They think, man, all I gotta do is just work this. Hold on, guys. Work this. All I gotta do is work my low income job, and if I keep paying my tithes, God's gonna just like give me the lifestyle that I want. And that's not true. That is a big lie. What's gonna happen is, like I said, God is gonna only supply your needs when it comes down to you paying your tithes. When it comes down to your wants, you gotta go grind hard, man. You gotta grind harder than what you think. You might have to put in some overtime work. Like me, I'm putting in overtime work. I got a regular job and I'm coming home and get on my purpose. But this is not work. This really just fun. But people, it's a lot of people like when it comes down to being a chosen one, you're gonna have a lot of people jealous of you because you ready to put in the work. You don't mind putting in the work. and you really live by faith without works is dead. So many people, they don't live by faith without works is dead. They don't really live by it. They don't really take it serious. Like us chosen ones, we take that the most serious. That passage, in the Bible, that scripture, we take it serious, man. We don't play. We really putting in the work out here, cause we know for a fact that nobody's gonna give us the lifestyle that we want. Nobody's going to give us, the finances that we want, and all the lifestyle and the finances all to, to God's glory. You know what I'm saying? To us to invest back into our purpose. Excuse me, so we can win even more, and to also to help the people that's less unfortunate, that don't have much. But yeah, guys, it's just true. So, it's so funny to me how people, like everybody nowadays think that they chosen. Like so many people think that they oh yeah, I'm the one. But they not really putting in no works. They don't want to get up. They don't have a purpose, from God. It's not from God. Their purpose is really not from God. It's just working. You know what I'm saying? You got to do more, man. You got to be doing stuff out here, that's going to give God the glory. No, us chosen ones, we is not lazy. We is not slowful out here. We are, we putting in the work because we know for a fact that it's all to God's glory. You got to have that mindset. And our intentions mean so well. We always trying to remind people, man, you got to go put in work. We always trying to remind people that nobody's going to really give you what you want. You got to stop feeling entitled. There's so many people out here, they feel entitled. Because they don't have the mindset. They don't have the drive. They don't have the discipline. They might be wondering about stuff that has nothing to do with putting in the work for the kingdom. You can't have that mindset like that. You got to be tapping in, man. You got to be going in. Because nobody's going to help. You got to help yourself. And for the people that just came into the live, man, I appreciate y'all for coming into the live. Like I said, I had to do this live over. I had to sit down. First I was standing up, I'm like, nah, I got to sit down. I got to really explain this. I got to really think this through. But yeah, guys, don't be lazy. You can't be lazy. Because there's always somebody out there that's doing more. That's putting in the work. That's not complaining. That's not being slowful. And I'm not saying you're supposed to be in competition with them, but you're supposed to just be hungry. Be ready to just spread the word, man. Ever since I got on YouTube, I just been so hungry to, help people out mentally. That's just my mindset, bro. I just want to help people out mentally. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting in the work. I'm not being slowful. I'm not being lazy. You could do the same thing. But in a lot of people, and the reason why a lot of y'all are lazy because, like I said, what y'all eating and just y'all, it's a reflection of y'all mindset. Some of y'all just being lazy because you think you can't do it. So really, you don't have that much faith. You got to believe that you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. Everything will manifest in your free will. But you got to put it in the work, man. You got to transform. Because your purpose is going to lead to empowerment and improvement. You're gonna set, you're gonna set a big impact. You trying to have a big impact. on people's lives. No, that's what I'm doing. I'm about the impact. You know, I'm about the who did I help? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm about. That's what I'm about. Excuse me, guys. But yeah, guys, you must put in the work. You must be hungry and thirst and have a thirst, you know, for the put out the good news. That's what I'm doing, bro. I ain't got no time to play. I ain't got no time to waste. You know what I used to do? That's going and old. That's done. That's over with, man. It just over with. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm just continue to stay, you know, focused on my purpose. And I want you guys to continue to stay focused on your purpose too. You know, so many people, like, they gonna act like they chosen. Or they gonna try to put up a front. But they haven't tapped into that yet. You know, you can tell the ones that really tapped in, that's really chosen. You know, they go through a lot on the journey. And like I said, they don't mind putting in the work. They don't mind grinding, man. You know what's chosen ones, bro? We're going to go through a lot as a chosen one. You know, you're going to have so many up and downhill battles. You know, you're going to be walking straight, but it's going to be people trying to distract you. What's up, bro? Man, that's kind of stuffy in here. That's what. Hold on. I had to open up my door, man. Kind of stuffy. What you been up to? I'm all right, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It could be bad spirit trying to keep me from talking. What's up, what's up, R? What's up, bro? It's been a minute, man, since you came in the chat. What you been up to? I'm out here putting in the work. You already know. Y'all probably been getting my notifications, but you just haven't been tapping in, but that's all right. I know you got life too outside of this, so I'm glad to see you again. I'm glad that you tapped in. Work too, yeah, I know, yep. You know, we like I said, we all putting in some work, man. Do you mean with chosen ones, people with God, or like? Hold on. Do you mean with chosen ones? With both. Both God and semen retention or no foul. With both. That's what I mean with both. Not just semen retention or no foul. Or just with God. Nah. You know, you been on that too as well. Chosen ones, bro, we are we on our spiritual journey. Like I said, a lot of us chosen ones, we fasting. A lot of our chosen ones, we sustain. You know, we holding in our sexual energy. We trying to, bro, we putting all our energy towards our purpose. That's what we doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say the majority of it. The majority of our energy is going towards our purpose. I've been holding my sexual energy. Man, that's good, bro. I'm glad you've been holding your sexual energy. You know, you start to become more confident. You start to have more energy. You can work longer hours. No, this is what happens when you hold in your sexual energy. No, it makes a big difference. When you holding in that sexual energy, bro, and you eat more healthier and you just grinding, you could do a lot more. Well, y'all think I'm doing so many videos, man? Holding my sexual energy. I ain't playing no games, man. Bro, I watch your video on the narcissist knowing that you know, and I can relate to that. Yeah, man. I try to be specific and I try to be, I I try to project as much common sense as I can to break things down so everybody can understand. I've been meaning they run away from me because they know that I know. Yep, exactly. Like it was a female that ran away from me because I know what type of female that she was. She was a female like that try to use men. That think men owe them money. Think men gonna just buy her stuff. I told her, I said, you know what? I know my worth. When I told her, when I told her I know my worth. I was like, you gotta get a give and all that type of stuff. She got a problem with it. That's she got a problem. To my, oh, you getting blocked. You can go ahead and block me. Women that are narcissists, they run from us chosen ones. They don't like us because we're not weak men. No, they want weak men that's not chosen. They want low vibrational, low self-esteem guys. The majority of these women out here. That's what they're looking for. God that they can use for money, use for free meals. That ain't gonna come with that don't come with me. They can't try me like that. Well, I invest most of my energy into myself. They don't want a man to invest his energy into himself. They want a man to invest his energy. They want a man to invest their energy into them. The narcissists. They want to drain men energy. Don't let these narcissistic women drain your energy. It's a lot of Jezebels out here. It's sad, man. So many Jezebels. They want to invest. Yep. They want to have control of you and tell you what to do and tell you what to buy and this and that. Why they be the boss? They want you to work on their plantation and do what they say. Nope. I get rid of them. A lot of these women, they controlling. They demanding and controlling. That's the sign of a Jezebel. You gotta get rid of these low vibrational women. They vibrating red. But I hope you chosen ones, you got something, out of this message, man. You can have, like I said, man, you can have all the faith you want. Man, you gotta put in the work. Putting in the work is a form of meditation. You don't have to close your eyes just to meditate. You can put in the work towards your purpose. That's a form of meditation. But a lot of people like they don't hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? They think they gotta close their eyes to meditate. Nah, man. You gotta have your eyes open and meditating and working on what you want to do to meditate. Are you still doing the powers and stuff? Yeah. I don't do the plant protein no more. I just do tonic alchemy and mushroom for my immune system. That's the only thing I do. I don't do nothing else. And I don't take it every day. I don't do none of that no more, bro. I used to do all that type of stuff, but I was trying to discover what works for me, and I figured out what works for me. I just figured out what works for me, and those two work for me. Really, really good. Tonic alchemy good for my heart. It's good for a lot of stuff. It's costly, but it's good for a lot of stuff. So that's what I use. You know what I'm saying? That's what I use. Like I said, if you want to try to use that, make sure you go to your doctor first